Welcome to Long Live Baseball. Today, we will talk about the St. Louis Cardinals' woes, their pitching woes, their hitting woes. They have woes all over the place. What is going on with this team? I don't know what's happening. No, but I know this. I know this. Anybody who is out there right now in the media who thinks that they saw this coming can go shove it. Because they didn't. Nobody did. We'll talk about the Cubs.
Listen. Let's talk about the Cubs, baby. It's April. Everybody's excited. The Cardinals suck. They're in the bottom. They're the cellar dwellers. And the Cubs, look at the Cubs. Cubs. We got a pitching staff. What did I say all preseason? How did I say it? What did I say? They're underrated. Nobody's going to see what's coming. What do we have? We have, oh my gosh, Justin Steele, Drew Smiley, nearly with the perfect game. Oh my goodness. We got Marcus Stroman. Oh, yes. Justification.
Well, okay. We'll see. We'll see where we are in 140 more games, shall we? Yeah. We'll see. We got a long way to go.
10% of the season's gone. 10% of the season's over. We have 90, little under 90% of the season left.
What's up, Donovan?
It sure is fun. Today. Sure is fun, though, isn't it?
It's fun for some people. We'll talk more about it. What could go wrong has gone wrong for the Cardinals this year. They kind of mask it with a 14-run outburst against the Diamondbacks. So let's get into it, Mike. Why don't we talk? So today on the program, we're going to mention the MLB Beat the Streak. Mike's been doing the daily content. We're going to talk about St. Louis Cardinals, Chicago Cubs news, all the latest news around the league. I'm going to talk about Jordan Hicks for a moment because there's a fascinating story about him that I included in my weekly breakdown for the Cardinals. And of course, we have to end the program with the world famous Mike's Dictionary segment. But Mike, did you know that Oakland's lost all of its teams in the last 5 years?
Isn't that something? Yeah. Golden State picks up and goes from Oracle to San Francisco. The Raiders take off for Vegas. And now the Oakland A's. Now, I got to tell you, when we took our trip down to spring training this year, I don't know if I've told this story on Long Live Baseball or not. Have I told this story? We toured all. I don't think so. We toured all the facilities. I'm wondering if they didn't even know something then, because we went to Hohokam Park and we went to all the facilities for the spring training in the Cactus League. And when we went to the Oakland A's spring training facility, which used to be the Cubs facility, by the way, Hohokam Park, we kind of drove into this neighborhood, and the neighborhood, it was a little sketch. It was a little sketch, as they say. It was almost like what I would imagine. Now, I've never been to Oakland. I don't have anything against Oakland. The people of Oakland, I'm sure, are fine people. But, what you hear on the street about Oakland and Oaklanders is that it's a little sketch in that area. You know what I'm
Hey now.
I'm not. I'm just.
There's probably some good people in Oakland.
I got done saying I have nothing.
They take care of. This is what the big city people do. They come and they just they kick you when you're down. They rub salt in that wound. And Mike Jones, there is some good people in Oakland, California. Mike Jones, don't you dare insult the people who take good care of their house, who raise their children right. The majority of folks are trying to improve their lives, and they don't like it that the Oakland Athletics are moving. They don't like it that every team, the Raiders, gone. It's not their fault that. It's not their fault. Like, they're just sort of upstanding citizens involved in unfortunate circumstances.
I just got done saying nothing against the people of Oakland. They're fine people. They are fine people. I'm sure.
Fine. They're upstanding citizens. They're good people. There are good people in Oakland.
I happen to know people from the city of Oakland, and you, Seth Diewold, are not an Oaklander. Okay.
No, I am not an Oakland. I'm the furthest thing from an Oaklander as you could possibly get.
I think that I
I'm
think
Midwest. I'm Midwest white bread, baby. That's what I am.
I think this is the wrong president and the wrong gesture for the illusion that I just made. So
yeah.
But listen, we went to the spring training thing, and it was the only. First of all, on the side of the Hohokam Park, there's a big C. I got a picture of it. I'll have to share it with you, and I have no idea. It doesn't look like a Cubby C, but I can't figure out why they would have a C on the side of their stadium if it was not just a remnant of when the Cubs were there. And then we walked in. Well, first of all, we parked the car in the parking lot. It was the only spring training facility parking lot that had signs on the light poles that said, "Take your belongings and lock your vehicle." It told you to do that. Now, I'm not saying anything about, the people in the Phoenix area where Hohokam Park is. I'm not saying anything about the people of Oakland. I'm just saying there was a sign on the light post that said, "Lock your vehicle." Now, being from Iowa, we went, and walked into the team store and did not have anything stolen. By the way, the car was still there when we came back. But the team store, let me talk about the team store there. We walked into the team store, and about the only comparison that I can make in terms of the team store was when you walked into the Oakland spring training team store, you looked around, there was one employee in there, and it was kind of like, I suppose, and I don't even know if this will be a good example anymore, kind of like walking into Dollar General versus Pier 1 Imports. It was, there wasn't a whole lot in there, it was and it was kind of quiet, and you could hear crickets, and it just, I don't know, it just was, so something seemed to miss. And the other day, the Cubs went and they played in Oakland, and I saw videos of when Oakland had some good teams, and the stands were full and people pounding on the sides of everything that went along with it. Guess the attendance at the Cubs Oakland series. That I'm going to say average attendance, but I'm only basing it on one game. Okay, it was generally the same for each of the games in the Oakland Chicago Cubs series. Guess the attendance. Donovan Holler, you could guess the attendance too if you wanted to, but guess the attendance at the Cubs Oakland game. Seth, you have a guess?
3,384 people.
Wow, I'm surprised that you guessed that low, because most people would say, 18,000 or whatever. No, it was 4,000 some people. 4,000 people at a Major League Baseball game. No, and I know the A's, maybe the A's fans have been hurt through the years, seeing some of their best players just kind of assembly line shipped off. Those kinds of things.
You could argue that. I mean, you could argue, like, if you do this to a fan base enough times, Moneyball's great in theory, and a lot of teams are doing it now. So the teams have caught up to what the Athletics did. You could argue, like, if you do that enough times to a fan base, I mean, at some level, the Royals hung on to some players. They hung on to Salvi, some fan favorites. At the end of the day, we talk about baseball and we want our teams to be good. At the end of the day, there's no baseball without fans. And that's kind of the genesis of this whole show, to be honest with you, is baseball, sports. It's about the fans, right? The players, yes, it's about them too, but there's no sport without fans. And if you do this enough times to your fan base, I mean, you got to give them something, right? And yes, you could argue, they with the Moneyball thing, and they were outperformed expectations a lot of times, but like, holy cow, you look at it now, and they're moving, so it's the ultimate FU to the fans. Is like, we'll see ya. we're done here. So Vegas is probably what's best for the league. They'll probably, I'm guessing they'll have pretty good attendance there. I'm guessing their payroll's going to go up, maybe. I don't know. You would think, right? The revenue's going to go up, so the payroll should go up. But hey, we've talked that song and dance here in St. Louis, and the payroll technically went up, but so did inflation. So
yeah, right. Well, and here's the interesting thing to me, and I don't know this to be factual. Most of what I say on the show, I don't know to be factual. But so the Las Vegas Aviators, which would be the Oakland A's AAA team, I believe they just built a brand new facility. They're part of the Pacific Coast League. And I think that their mascot, by the way, is Spruce the Goose. Spruce the Goose.
Is there anything better than minor league mascots?
Oh, no. And the Aviator, they also have the Aviator as a mascot, which just go with Spruce the Goose. You've got it. Don't ruin a good thing. You've got a good thing going. You don't.
Well, isn't Goose an aviator from the Top Gun movies? So you could almost feed two birds with one scone there.
I like that, two birds with one scone, because that's actually something they could. Because you're feeding them, you're not killing them. Okay. Yeah. Well, I don't know if I like that anymore. It's a little too politically correct for my taste.
All right. Well, we don't kill birds on this program.
But here's the question. Here's my question. Well, there's some birds that we wouldn't mind.
Meet the Mets fan in the house.
Yeah. Good morning. Hey, so I don't know if Meet the Mets. I don't know if he's joined us on the Beat the Streak group yet on the MLB Play app. I hope he does. Oh, twice. Okay, I thought we had too many. Okay,
just like New York. So nice they named it twice, right?
There you go. But here's my question: how many Major League ball clubs have their AAA affiliate in the same town in which their Major League affiliate is?
Oh, Lord. It can't be too many.
I would think not. And now you've got Oakland moving to Vegas with their AAA team. And think about, maybe this is just another form of money ball for them. We're going to save some money because our entire complex, our entire operations, all of our operations, AAA and majors are going to be right there. What are they going to save on travel back and forth from the minors to the majors to the, you know what I'm saying? I mean, it's an interesting concept to me. I hope it never happens for the Cubs because we've got Des Moines, Peoria, we've got, it used to be Peoria, South Bend, Indiana, so it's kind of a Midwest feel. And then, of course, the Myrtle Beach Pelicans. But I just find that interesting. Meet the Mets fan says the Mets have the Brooklyn Cyclones. The Brooklyn Cyclones. It'd be interesting to do some research on that to see where that all lands out. How many teams have that?
There's a semi-pro team in that used to be the T-Bones. I think they're called the Kansas City Monarchs now, that plays in Kansas City, but that's not technically affiliated with the Royals. It's a semi-pro team. So
right.
But I've heard, I haven't gone, but if you ever come down and the Royals aren't in town and they are, I've heard that those games are a fun time.
Yeah.
Those old T-Bones, I guess the Kansas City Monarch games now. So yeah, it's unfortunate, I think, that teams move, but I think this move, if you look at it for baseball as a whole, I think it's going to be good to have Las Vegas in the market now. I think the NFL saw that was good for business. So, are we going to have a Beat the Streak video today, Mike?
Yeah, it's waiting to be edited by our editor and put on the. Oh, absolutely.
I looked in there and it wasn't in there when I saw. You must have you hornswoggled me. You must have snuck that in there. All right. Well, as soon as we get done here, I will upload it. But what's some of your? You want to tell Donovan what the insights are right now?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Donovan, and at the risk of losing viewership, Donovan, I think his streak's at 0 right now, if I'm not mistaken.
I think my streak might be at 0.
Yeah.
Fairness.
Well, Donovan picked, if I'm Pavin Smith and just some guy named Tommy Edmond. I don't know why you'd pick a Tommy Edmond, but
it says the man who is picking nothing but Cardinals. Like pick Paul Goldschmidt like 3 games in a row or something.
Yeah, and who'd he kill? He killed our entire group. Our entire group of, I mean, everybody went to 0 because of Paul Goldschmidt. He was the only Cardinal in that game who didn't record a hit. I don't know that I'll take Goldschmidt anymore. Besides, he's on a losing team. But listen, my picks for today, I mean, this is kind of a preview of the show. I actually said catch our other show in the show that should have already been posted by the editor, but we won't get into the weeds on that one. Here's my picks today. Listen, little known fact, and you'll see it on the Beat the Streak picks too. So there's a little bit of repeat content. But Joe DiMaggio's hit streak included several double headers. The first of which was on May 30th, I believe, in Boston. It was a double header game, and so today I picked Luis Arraez, who is playing in a double header against the Cleveland Guardians, and I have him for my double down. Luis Arraez is one of the guys that has he's been hitting the ball well, just put it that way. And I'm trying to find the best resource for who are the hottest hitters as far as streaks go in Major League Baseball. I'm having a tough time sometimes finding that, like who's got the game by game streak. I think Luis Arraez's streak is 3 right now. He's batting .438 on the year. His last game, he was 1 for 5. And so I like my chances with him. He's going up against Cleveland's Bieber, and he is 9 of 29 lifetime, batting .310 against Bieber, and not to be confused with Justin Bieber. And the other game is he's going up against Zach Plesac, and he is 4 of 14 lifetime against him. And although that's a righty-lefty matchup, I'm not a real big fan of those. Arraez is in the leadoff spot. And so, as I've said on the Beat the Streak show, I'm done with anyone else. I will only pick leadoff batters from here on out the rest of the season. I'm playing the odds.
Wow, just more opportunity.
More opportunities to get a hit. Yep.
Okay. Interesting. I think there's some holes in that logic, but it's okay. We're not here to, be whatever. What's the word for it? Like brainiacs. I don't know, man. We're here to beat the I don't know. There's some merit to that. But in the description right now, or in the comments, I put the link. If you want to join our Beat the Streak group, the link is in there. Meet the Mets fan was asking about it, so I put it in there. And let us know if you have any questions about it. You can DM us. You can DM me at Seth_DIEWOLD. Be happy to give you instructions, help you out with that process. We want as many of you in there as we can possibly get, because that makes it more fun.
It does. Currently, we have 15 competitors involved. Although I think someone's mentioned that they've joined several times. So I don't know how you do that. And just to be clear, our Beat the Streak group is not affiliated with Major League Baseball in any way. You will not win any money from Long Live Baseball. And so, there you go.
But Mike Jones might send you a dictionary, though.
I might send you a dictionary. The winner may win a dictionary.
That could be the prize.
And maybe a hat.
Maybe a hat.
A hat.
Not a Cubs hat, I hope.
No, it would be a Long Live Baseball hat.
Oh, we can make those?
Absolutely, we can make those.
Ooh, all right. Well, stay tuned. Should we talk about this week?
Yeah.
Why don't you talk about your week? How's your week? How's the Cubs week going? Is it going good?
Listen, I mean, We take a road trip out to the West Coast, the left coast, whatever you want to call it. And we have a great time out there. We allow no more than 2 runs to Oakland or the Dodgers while we're out there. And we win 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of 6 on the road trip. And then we come back from the West Coast, and LA comes back with us, in essence. And we lose our first game in really what was a heartbreaker. And if we could talk about Michael Fulmer. Michael Fulmer's been struggling. He is not our closer. Our closer, unfortunately, is in AAA or is being used in short relief currently. Just not. He just has struggled to close things out. So we lose a heartbreaker on Thursday. On Friday, yesterday, if you didn't see it yet, it was something else. A perfect game through 7 innings. And during the dictionary segment, we'll talk about how that ended a little bit. We'll have an allusion to that. But it was just one of those slow dribblers down the third base line, a cue ball shot, as they say, down the third base line that ended the perfect game bid for Drew Smyly. But a lot to be excited about. When you're a Cubs fan, again, I'll go back. I think was I yelling and screaming at the start of the show? I mean, our pitching staff right now.
I just want to point this. I want to cut you off because we made a video where it was a Cubs season preview, and you said, I think the Cubs are going to make the playoffs. I think maybe you said second in the Central, get a wild card. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I believe that may have been a prediction, a bold prediction.
In the comments, there was a guy who said, this has got to be clickbait. This has got to be clickbait because there's no way that is possible. And I said, it's not, trust me, it's not clickbait. Mike Jones actually feels this way. And so far it's looking pretty good for you. Just want to say that.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. And hey, it's really, come on. I mean, it really is early. But the pitching staff, you can't argue with what's going on there. I mean, I suppose I could pull it up. I don't have the numbers right in front of me. But hey, they're pitching well. Stroh's pitching well. You've got Drew Smyly, who's just saying, for whatever reason, I've watched a few of Smiley's pressers, and his pressers are nothing but positive. And of course, that's what most players, are probably going to do. But he comes out and just throws a gem of a game yesterday. It was, I happened to walk in. I was at a conference, and in the conference was being held in a convention center where there was a casino and a sports book. And I happened to walk in between a couple sessions. One of my sessions got done early, and I happened to walk into the sports book for the very first time. I've never been in a sports book before. Sat down in these nice leather chairs with cup holders and all that. Big old screen TV with the Cubs game on, and it was like the 6th inning. And just watching what was unfolding at the time, it was. There's nothing more fun than that, to watch something like that. But like I said, Stroman and then Justin Steele. Justin Steele is like one of the top 5 fantasy guys as far as positional rankings in pitching right now. Let me ask you this, Seth. Here's the question in terms of how this Cubs season's going so far. If I just flat out said to you, tomorrow, I will trade you our pitching staff for your pitching staff. Cubs pitching staff for Cardinals pitching staff. Wholesale trade, flipping cities. Would you take it?
Probably.
Right?
I mean, I was looking at this, all right? Team pitching stats, right? The Cubs, and it's to anybody in the chat or watching right now that thinks this is crazy, just listen to these numbers before you jump to conclusions. You don't want to pull out your jump to conclusions mat quite yet, right? The Cubs, these are just some real stats. Ranked number 5 in baseball in starting and pitching ERA. Now that's bullpen and starting pitching everything, but still 3.22 ERA. Guess where the Cardinals rank? And this is factoring the bullpen in, and the Cardinals' bullpen has been really good. It's been really good, like top 10 bullpen. The Cardinals' team ERA ranks number 20th in baseball, tied for number 20th with the Blue Jays at 4.70 ERA. Walks and hits per innings pitched. Again, the Cubs, number 4 in baseball. Cardinals, number 26, behind the Royals. And I like the Royals, but the Royals should not be in the same mentioned in the same breath as the Cardinals in any statistical category. I'm sorry. If that is the case, then that is a failure, right? So what I'm saying is right now, yeah, the Cubs pitching staff is pitching really well, and that ultimately, I broke it down on the weekly breakdown. I said the Cardinals are better than the Cubs in just about every way, I think. You know, you could maybe it's a toss-up with the bullpen, but the Cardinals' bullpen's really good. I think, and it's going to be good. The only category I think the Cubs legitimately have the edge is the most important category in baseball, starting pitching. So there you go.
Yeah. And if Jameson Taillon comes around, now he's got a little bit of a groin injury right now. Listen, our outside of Fulmer, and you know, Fulmer's ERA is 7.56. Okay. And Merriweather's not the answer. Julian Merriweather's not the answer there either. But you know, we've got like guys like Javier Assad, who since the World Baseball Classic has not lived up to the potential that he displayed in the World Baseball Classic. But I think guys like Brad Boxberger, Brandon Hughes, Adbert Alzolay, those guys, I think we've got to be poking around for which one of these guys can become a closer, because we're using them as relief pitchers, you know, and especially Alzolay. And then Mark Leiter Jr., you know, he's done some really good things so far this year with his ERA at 2 point. Actually, Mark Leiter's ERA is at 0 right now. And he has come out, he's played in 8 games with 7.1 innings pitched with an ERA of 0. So, you know, as a relief guy, I think we've got to start taking a look at some of those guys, because Fulmer, in some contested managerial decisions, has come in and lost a couple games for the Cubs late innings. I mean, you know, has blown saves and, you know, those kinds of things. So I think the Cubs are going to have to really look deeply at, and if they continue playing like they're playing, because here's the thing about the pitching staff, Seth. I get it. We just got done playing Oakland for 3 games, okay? But we also just got done playing the Dodgers for 5. And the Dodgers are no slouch. Come on. I mean, the Dodgers are still the Dodgers, right? At least I think they are. Maybe that's the big question mark. But to me, that's a competitive ball club. That's going to be a team that most people would say, who's going to make the postseason? Well, the Dodgers and you know, and we've taken, 4 out of 6 from them, or 5, my math is horrible, but there you go. You know, it's not like, and those numbers that you talked about as far as our pitching staff, remember in our previous shows, those are carryover numbers from the end of last season. I would like to take the last month of last season and carry that, because they seem to be just continuing down the same trajectory. That's the thing that's exciting to me.
Well, it's even better. I have it sorted now by starting pitching. So Fangraphs has a feature where you can sort it by starters and relievers. And number 3 team, or number 3 in the MLB in team ERA amongst starting pitchers is the Cubs, and the Cardinals are number 26 in team ERA amongst starting pitchers with their starting pitcher staff. The Cardinals have a 5.66 ERA amongst their starters right now. That ain't going to get it done. That's why you're 8-12.
So the wholesale trade, you're all about it now after looking at those numbers, right?
Of course. I knew the numbers in the back of my head, but I'm thinking to myself, when I'm thinking about it, I'm thinking, well, Michaelis should be better. Flaherty's going to be better. Flaherty has been the best pitcher on the Cardinals pitching staff. He's just, if you throw out the first couple starts where he was just walking everybody, he's been great. His last start was probably his worst one, but overall he's been fantastic. But, and Jordan Montgomery's been good. His last start was probably his worst one. But there's a lot of well, if this guy can be better, you remember at the beginning of the season we were talking about it. There's a lot of wild cards, and I know Adam Wainwright's going to be coming back. They have this guy, Matthew Liberatore, in the minor leagues. But there's still just a lot of question marks with this pitching staff. And as time goes on, I know we're only 20 games in, but as time goes on, and if this continues, I don't want to overreact because, like we keep saying, it's early. At what point because the Cardinals GM, team president, they've really never been in this position that I can remember ever before, where your major pitching signings, you just extended Michaelis, you just signed Steven Matz a few years ago. Your pitching signings, it ain't looking pretty right now, right? I mean, it's the opposite of pretty. They've never really been in this situation before, pitching wise. It's always, well, they find a guy in the minor, they figure it out, right? And if that's the approach that they're going to take again, that might work for the regular season, maybe. But man, oh man, does it look like there's some holes in this rotation early on. Like Matz is looking shaky, right? Michaelis is kind of settling down a little bit, but still not looking like Michaelis typically looks. Flaherty, again, there's just nobody you can point to in this rotation that you can with confidence say, oh yes, if we're on a 2 or 3 game losing streak, this is the guy we want to pitch to end that, right? There's just no legitimate. Wainwright used to be that guy, but he's gonna be coming back, and he's 41 years old now. So this is the criticism of the Cardinals, and it's a legitimate criticism, because when you had the chance to go out and get Max Scherzer, you said, nah, too expensive. Nah, not going to do it. You had the chance, to trade the last 2 seasons for a legitimate, and I got news for you. The price is only going up, baby. It's like the housing market. These things aren't getting cheaper, So it's the thing that drives me nuts about the Cardinals. You have all this offense, and we can talk about the offense later. The offense has been inconsistent. I get it. But that's what even the greatest offenses go through cold spells. And that's where you need the starting pitching, because you're going to have to win 2-1 ball games. You're going to have to win 3-2 ball games. This is a fundamental truth of baseball. You're just going to be in different types of games. You can't be giving up 4 to 5 runs every game like they did last night. They gave up 5 runs. Steven Matz, again, he's pitching all right at first, and then just kind of, he gave up 4 earned runs, I think, last night. So you're going to have to, you can't go through every game like that. And it's just frustrating because the Cardinals brass will never pay $1.25 for $1. Like if they went to the store during COVID and toilet paper was marked up, but they were out of toilet paper, right? If it was marked up, if it was the normal price was like $10 and they had a $20 sticker on that, Mozeliak and DeWitt would go, yeah, you know what? We're just going to have to gather some leaves in the backyard because we are not paying for that. Even if it, so I just don't understand, Mike. I just don't, I know it's not me that giving away millions of dollars or paying millions of dollars for, a Max Scherzer. But God dang it, like think of that. Like I was talking to somebody in the comments, like think about if this team had Max Scherzer right now, and I know he got tossed out of the game and he's suspended for 10 games. So maybe that's not the best example to use, but you get what I'm trying to say here is Max Scherzer is a difference maker. He's the top of the line without a doubt, the unquestioned number one starter. If you put him on the Cardinals right now, it's not even a second thought. Like nobody's like, oh no, I think it might be Wainwright. It's like, no, it would be Michaelis, or not Michaelis. It would be Scherzer. And the dude, like, originally drafted by the Cardinals from the area, you can easy sell to your fan base, even if you have to overpay for him. And it's like, why are we messing around signing like Corey Dickerson, a $5 million contract here, a $5 million, like just pool all that together and just go get what you actually need. Right. And that's because you have, like, it's proven, like you have the Juan Yepez's of the world in the minors that can do what Corey Dickerson can do. Like, who cares? Those guys you can find in the minor leagues. You can't it's hard to find a Max Scherzer in the minor leagues. And who knows, like maybe they'll prove me all wrong and go out and trade for somebody. But man, it doesn't really look like there's many pitchers like that out there. So when you have a chance to go get somebody like that with the team that you have, Goldschmidt, Arenado, Contreras, I mean, Jordan Walker, Brendan Donovan, I could go on to Tyler O'Neill, like I could go on and on down the list of talented players. It's just so frustrating that they never do this. It's like, oh, you need to do one more thing to become a competitive team. Just one more, the toilet paper, it's $20. We're only comfortable paying $10. So we're just going to go gather our leaves in the backyard and call it good.
They're kind of single ply guys. I mean, there's some people that are single ply people. There are some people who, listen, I'm going quadruple ply if I can. It's got to be soft, but the single ply, I listen, here's the thing though. And let's talk about, you keep talking about the offense and the hitting. Now, I'm kind of old school when it comes to this. All this sabermetrics and metric vision and Moneyball and all that stuff. It's all honestly a little bit foreign to me. Okay. I still look at things like batting averages and those types of things, even when I'm making my decisions for Beat the Streak and those, all those. So I'm kind of old school when it comes to that. But I've got the Cubs and the Cardinals lined up against each other here on Fangraphs. And I remember a couple weeks ago, we were talking about the Cardinals lineup has X amount of players that are batting in the 300s, as far as batting average goes. And right now they have 2 batters batting over 300. And one of those is Nolan Gorman and the other is Juan Yepez. Everybody else is below 300 on batting average. Who do the Cubs have? Nelson Velasquez, Seiya Suzuki, Nico Horner, Dansby Swanson, Luis Torrens, Nick Madrigal, Cody Bellinger, Ian Happ. Can you imagine giving up on Cody Bellinger? I mean, right now. I mean, can you imagine just giving up on him? Cody Bellinger is like, all right, Cody's back, right? I mean, it's one of those things where you go, do you say that out loud? Oh, Belly's been a fan favorite. It's been fun to watch. But my point being, as we're talking about pitching staffs, and you do the wholesale trade there, Chicago batters are tearing the cover off the ball right now. Seiya Suzuki has come back. He's hitting it hot. Bellinger's hitting it hot. Swanson started off strong. Nico Horner is one of the top number one, and I don't want to say I told you so, but he's one of the number one prospects at second, or not prospects, but positional rankings at second base in the majors. The Cubs, there's something to be excited about there. There's something to be excited about there.
No,
listen,
I'm
when you're giving,
go ahead.
When you're giving up 5 runs a game like you're talking about, and the Cubs have had a few games like that too. But when you're doing it consistently, dare I say, consistently, like the Cardinals are, doesn't that impact hitting? They always say hitting is contagious. Well, if you're giving up a lot of hits, I could see as a batter getting a little down on that, right? Holy cow, the pressure. We got to score how many runs to, I could just say, all I'm saying is I could see that as a possibility.
No, I mean, you look at the stats. I mean, pitching, hitting. I'm looking at it right now, too. I mean, wins above replacement. Cubs are number 2 in the majors in offense. In number 2. In slugging percentage, number 2 in baseball. On average, they're number 1 in baseball. They're hitting 290 as a team. So if you look at any statistical category that you want to look at, and then if you look at the strikeout rate, the Cubs aren't striking out either. I mean, the Cardinals they're tied with the Cardinals at 23rd in baseball. Well, I flip it, so that'd be 7th in baseball, so least amount of strikeout. So any statistical category that you want to look at, you cannot deny that the Cubs are playing great right now. Like, the question I would have is, can they keep it up? And the reason that there's so much hype on the Cardinals players is because the Cardinals players are younger and there's more years of control. So let's say Bellinger has that season, right? He's only on a 1-year deal, and guess what? Now you're paying him $30-40 million a year. Do you want to do that after 1 year? I don't know. So that's it's a reclamation year for him. So is it sustainable? That's my biggest question. That's the biggest question. And Meet the Mets fan doesn't agree, and that's fine. But you cannot deny that through 20 games, where we are right now, the Cubs are outperforming expectations. And Mike Jones told you it was going to come. And guess what? Through 20 games, you've been pretty much spot on the money, especially with the pitching staff. And I have to tip my cap. I have my headphones on.
Whoa.
Tip my cap to you. And it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out, because Wainwright's going to come back. So we'll see if that makes any difference at all. I think they're going to have to bring up Liberatore. I really do. And I think they're going to see that as a potential solution to the problem by the end of April, early May. I think you're going to see that happen if he keeps killing it in AAA. But there's no denying. I mean, you look at the stats, and I'm a big stats guy. Metrics. I mean, one of the metrics that a lot of people use is that I hear referenced a lot is WRC plus, and the Cubs are number 2 in that. Cardinals are number 4. So the Cardinals have a great offense too, but I think the Cardinals offense it's kind of skewed because they go through these stretches where they're scoring 2 runs. They put up 2 runs last night, but then they outburst for 14 against Arizona,
Yeah.
So it's really been, you look at the numbers, I mean, it can kind of, if you're not watching the game too and looking at the numbers, it can kind of be deceiving.
And that's baseball, right? I mean, 14, you're down 7-0, you come back and you win 14-8. That's the best part about baseball. Now, here's the thing though. And, we've got one of our regular fans, Meet the Mets, or regular watchers, I should say. He said the Cubbies are killing it. And I think what he's saying is, no way it's sustainable, though. They're not going to sustain it. And I disagree with him from this standpoint. If the Cubs, right now, the Cubs have some prospects. It's been news. The Cubs have built up their farm system significantly. Okay. Significantly. And we've got these guys, a lot of big names playing in Wrigleyville now. Yeah, they're on 1-year contracts. I read just this morning, Christopher Morel. People have forgotten about Christopher Morel. Christopher Morel is tearing it up in AAA Iowa. He is hitting the ball well. He's playing well, home runs, extra bases, all of that kind of stuff. Okay. And he played a pretty good portion of the season last year for the Cubs at Wrigley. And everybody's wondering, why isn't Christopher Morel up there? Pete Crow Armstrong is another great player who we have sitting in the wings. Matt Mervis, first baseman, who Eric Hosmer is supposedly a placeholder for, is being prepared for this, right? And he's hitting the ball well. And so I think there is a little bit more sustainability to it than what Meet the Mets fan might think there is in regards to that. And if we get guys like Bellinger's, like the Hosmers, like the, if we get these guys and we get them back, and positionally, the Nick Madrigals, who is another guy on the list that I just read off, batting averages up. He's hitting the ball. He's running the bases well, with the exception of one stop sign that he blew through. But if we get guys like that who are doing well and hitting the ball well, and they sustain that piece of it, they become trade bait. I mean,
really? That you think that? I think that might be a mistake.
Well, it could be, but I mean, listen, if it is sustainable, if they do sustain it, then we're going to be out there going, who are we going to get for a closer?
No,
like,
you can't fall into that trap, though. I don't think, because that's the old Cubs fan way of thinking.
What are you talking about? What do you mean? What do you mean?
Okay, let me ask you a question, because I think this is going to frame this conversation, because this is going to be I'm going to predict this is going to be a very productive conversation. Okay. So
right.
Did you think that did you think that this start was coming with the
Cubs?
Yeah. Because I agree with you. I think it is sustainable with the players you have right now. I think your starting pitching staff is better than a lot of people think, and I think the numbers, like you were saying, that carry, because I learned this from you. I don't really pay attention to the Cubs aside from, conversations I have with you. Going from last season to this season, the numbers pretty good. So right. I think that if you get that starting pitching, I can see Cubs fans say, okay, who are we going to get for this playoff run? And I'm telling you right now, just this year is gravy, right? So do you want to compete this year and maybe potentially trade Pete Crow Armstrong or Matt Mervis, or I can't think of the third baseman that you mentioned. Who's tearing it up in AAA?
Christopher Morel.
Yeah. Do you want to trade those guys, or do you want to just hang on, keep building it, and they will come and build this thing sustainable, because you could make the playoffs with what you got right now. Yeah. And then add another draft class, right? Maybe go sign another free agent. Who knows, like, what you're going to do with Bellinger if he keeps tearing the ball off the cover off the ball. Just build that foundation up in the minor leagues. Keep adding to that, and then you're the Dodgers, right? Then this is what you got to do. Like, don't fall into the trap of, let's trade Pete Crow Armstrong for a closer. It's like, no, like, you don't develop a closer. Like, that's like one of the worst things you could do is trade for a closer, I think. What do you think? Like, what do you think? Like, because Cubs fans are going to be clamoring like, this is our moment. Like, that we're contender. But it's like, nah, just hold on. Just hold on. Like, trust, like, because you could, I mean, it's baseball. You could advance far with what you got. I mean, who knows? You don't know. And this was not supposed to be this way this year. And it's 20 games in, so we're probably overreacting anyway. But it's all we got, though. It's all we got to go off of. But I'm just saying, if it gets to that point, you guys should definitely not trade those guys. Hold on to them, develop them. Like, that's the way you gotta go. You gotta build this thing the right way.
I think you misunderstood who I was suggesting as the trade chips.
Okay, sorry.
I'm
the trade chips.
Nick Madrigal, Cody Bellinger. Those guys.
See, that's an intriguing way to think about it.
That's guys.
Interesting.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying you have some of those guys. I mean, Swanson's on a 7-year contract. We know he's there for a while. We know Happ's there for 3 years. We know Horner's there for 3 years. These other guys, we signed on 1-year contracts. There's no extended commitment, long-term commitment. They're coming back because they've got to prove themselves again. And if they do prove themselves, knowing what we have waiting in the wings as younger players, because let's face it, this is a young man's game. This is who did we see that I think the Cardinals are probably going to be going after? Madison Bumgarner. All right. I mean,
Lord.
Well, listen, he just got DFA'd. 3-time World Series champ. Right? Yeah. I mean, here's a guy, and he's no longer a young man, right? I mean, baseball has it. It is a wear and tear type of game, right? And so that's where I'm kind of going. I don't know, what the guys in the front office will do. All I know is exciting. I saw a great, not that they're one of our sponsors or anything like that, but I saw a great Bayer aspirin, that talked about when your team's in the playoffs, it's heart attack risk goes up or whatever, that kind of thing. Listen, I think it's always time to be excited. I don't care if you're 20 games in, 1 game in, it's opening day, baby. You win your first game on opening day and it's time to be excited, right? You see the numbers. I think it's always time to be excited.
Yeah.
In baseball.
There's a little a little mad bum. There's like a thing I saw in Cardinals on the radio. It's like Contreras ended Mad Bum, or got to Madison Bumgarner after a walk. Like he basically pimped a walk. Like he worked a walk. Like I don't exactly know all of what happened, but Madison Bumgarner was not too happy with Contreras.
Yeah.
So can we shift this conversation? I have to talk about Jordan Hicks. We were talking before the show. Cardinals reliever Jordan Hicks, flamethrower, 104 mile an hour pitcher with a wipeout slider. I put this in my weekend review, which you can go check out on our YouTube channel if you're a Cardinals fan. It's very awkward now with him. He's 26 years old. There's no denying that he has all the potential in the world, but he's never really put it all together. He had this weird stretch last year where he wanted to be a starting pitcher, and that couldn't have gone really any worse. It didn't work. That didn't work out at all. So he's one of the more weird players I've ever watched in my life, because like I said, you watch him play and you're like, oh my God. I remember when he first came up, he can throw, like I thought this is probably, if he can rein it in, if he can develop, he's one of the best. I mean, he could be a closer in the league for a long time, right? I was thinking, who throws that fast? Aroldis Chapman, people like that throw that fast. And the Cardinals now are out of options with him. It's his last year on his contract. He has to agree to go down to AAA, which he probably needs, but he's out of options too. So they're in a weird spot where they need as many bullpen arms as they can, because their starters aren't going deep into games. Like their starters are giving them 5 innings. So that, guess what? The bullpen has to pitch 4 innings, right? And so they need as many bullpen arms as they can get. And the bullpen's good. The numbers, even with Hicks, this is why I think the Cardinals bullpen is good. The numbers, even with the Hicks, even if with Andre Palante struggling, the Cardinals bullpen, if you look at the numbers, is a top 10 bullpen in baseball. So that's great. But this whole Jordan Hicks situation has me intrigued, because there's so many things this year the Cardinals have, I don't think in recent history they've ever gone through. They've never gone through, I mean, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong in the chat, but they've never gone through having their starting pitchers just being horrible. They've never gone through having a guy that let's face it, they brought him up really early, Jordan Hicks. It's not working out. They've never gone through things like this. So they're going to have uncomfortable situations. Like I said, back to my analogy, they never pay $1.25 for something that's worth $1. They never sell something for 75 cents that's worth $1 either. They're pretty stingy. Say what you want to about the Cardinals, and it's worked out for them. They do so many things right, and I'm so happy. Like the last 20 years as a Cardinals fan has been great, right? Playoffs, NL Central championships. For the most part, they've been winning. Again, we're only 20 games in, but there's so many weird things about this team, and Jordan Hicks just kind of, that situation just is the epitome of the Cardinals season right now. Is you have a guy on your team that is terrible. He's playing terrible. Now, he's played better, if you can call it better, recently, but he's been terrible. You can't option him down to AAA. if you trade him, you're not going to get as much for him as you probably could have at the beginning of the season, or whatever. You probably don't even really want to trade him because you're still maybe trying to talk yourself into what he could be, but he needs to go down to AAA to work on some things. But you can't do that, and you can't trade him. So what do? There's nothing. You're just gonna keep him on the roster. You're just gonna keep him on the roster and only use him when there's a blowout. Or what if you play close game after close game after close game, and then, I mean, we're talking about these are the things that determine wins and losses, right? If you have an extra arm in the bullpen, right, that you can count on, and the Cardinals need wins right now. So it's fascinating. Like, as much as it pains me that the Cardinals have started 8-12, this is fascinating to watch. And I'm so worried, like, because I think you said it, Madison Bumgarner is now available. This feels like trust me, they should not go sign Madison Bumgarner. That is just going to create more problems. That's kind of like putting duct tape on like a leak in your plumbing, which
a Band-Aid on a sucking chest wound. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's only going to create more problems and more awkwardness, because I don't think he's very good anymore. Right. And that's the last thing the Cardinals need, is another starting pitcher who's not very good. Right. So, and he's a left-hander. And if you call up Liberatore and you throw Mad Bum in there, that's like 4 left-handers in your starting rotation potentially. And somebody was trying to tell me, oh, you don't want, like, some people were saying you don't want 3 or I don't care if you have a third arm and that's what you pitch with out of your back, or it's like a slingshot. Like, if you can pitch, I don't care what arm you use. If you can pitch for the Cardinals and you can give up 2 runs in 6 innings, I'll take you. I don't know what else to say about it. We need some starting pitchers, right? Yeah. Our guys are not getting the job done right now, and that's evidenced by the stats. But I just felt like that was worth a conversation, about this Jordan Hicks. Is going to be fascinating to see what they do, because I don't think they have many options. I kind of think you have to trade him, and the Cardinals, again, it's not the Cardinals. That's not their comfort zone. This whole season, I don't think John Mozeliak, I don't know what's going on in his office, but I can't imagine he's a happy guy these days.
I don't imagine that he is either. But you've said it several times that it is early. And to say your starting pitching is horrible might be
they've been bad. Their number 20 starting pitching ERA is 25 or 26. I just had it pulled up.
All right.
In Major League Baseball.
Honestly,
just for some perspective. All right. As I'm fumbling to pull it up again. Hold on, everybody. This is great radio. I know. So they're behind the Nationals. They're behind the Royals. They're behind Pittsburgh and Cincinnati. They have the worst starting pitching in the entire division through 20 games.
These are
this is where we are.
The teams that you mentioned just now, those are the teams that I look for to find my batters up against for Beat the Streak. I've got to start looking. I've got to start looking for some Cardinals pitching for hitters to go up against, because I haven't even been considering it. But now with what you're sharing with me, I need to start considering these guys going up against some other guys. And Jordan Krosno made a great comment here in terms of the Pirates being surprisingly good this year. But here's the thing, Jordan, to me about that, the Pirates, if you're looking at pitching, and Seth, you might have the stats pulled up right now. I don't know where they're at, but they have a few guys that can throw the BB a little bit.
They are number 12 in team ERA.
Right. So that's a big part of the surprising to me for Pittsburgh. They've had some solid pitching. Now, one of the stats that I don't know as far as all the sabermetrics or whatever we call them these days, is that I don't necessarily see. I know you've got innings pitched, K percentage, walk percentage, home runs per nine, BABIP. All the stat that I don't see in the sabermetrics is this one: quality starts.
Oh yeah.
I think quality starts in this day and age. That if they're not, I mean, I think they keep track of them. But I hear that term a lot when it comes to the Cubs pitching staff. The Cubs pitching staff, they are doing a great job with quality starts. They come in and give 5-6 innings. And if one thing's changed in baseball through the years, not in the last 20 probably, this is the trend of having 4 or 5 pitchers a game has been a long one. But a quality start does a lot for a baseball team in terms of wins and losses, in my estimation, because you have the opportunity to throw multiple pitchers out at batters. How many times do we talk about, okay, well, this is their second time around in the lineup. They've seen him once, they've seen him twice, they've seen him 3 times. Well, if you can get a quality start out of a guy and then throw a new pitcher out there, you got a better chance of securing a win. I'd love to see the numbers on all of that. I've never really delved into that.
Well, I just had it pulled up and then I clicked on something else, but I'll just to your point, according to teamrankings.com, I just pulled up so these are the players with 4 quality starts so far.
Okay.
There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. It's Shohei Ohtani, it's Garrett Cole, it's Shane Bieber, Mitch Keller for the Pirates, and Justin Steele and Marcus Stroman. Think of that. Think of that. We're mentioning those 2 guys in the same breath as Shohei Ohtani and Garrett Cole. I know, again, 20 games in. We're 20 games in, ladies and gentlemen. So let's not freak out too much about that. But still, that is something, I'm just going to say this, that's something the Cardinals typically find a way to do. And now the Cubs are finding a way to do it.
And you want to know what I'd like to do? And you're the good guy with the numbers. But what I'd love to do is go back to August of last year and find out how many quality starts pitchers have had since August of last year. I don't know if you can find that or not, but I'd like to see who's at the top of that list. August, September, October, April, May, we're not in May yet, but March, April. That would be a fun number to look at if that's something that could be found. And while you're kind of looking around for that, I want to remind our listeners, the professor, he's not even on our staff. Well, I mean, he's on our staff, but he's not in Chicago yet. Because we don't need a 5th starter, Javier Assad was recently optioned to Iowa, and Jeremiah Estrada, remember when I told you that our closer was in Iowa? Jeremiah Estrada has been recalled from AAA. And so you've got Tyon on the IL, 15-day IL with a left groin strain, which happened in Oakland, by the way, while he was just playing catch, landed awkwardly on a possum in the outfield or something and stretched his groin strangely. But he's going to attack the rehab. Kyle Hendricks will be returning in May. Cody Heyer, who had right elbow surgery, expected return is sometime mid-season 2023. Ethan Roberts could potentially, he just had Tommy John surgery, could potentially come back in late 2023 or 2024. So there are more pitchers out there for the Cubs that could play into even this season yet.
Yeah. So I couldn't find like that specific information, but last year in quality starts. So here were some of the leaders. Framber Valdez from Houston with 29, Hugh Darvish with 28, Alex Manoah 25, Sandy Alcantara with 24, Shane Bieber 24, Joe Musgrove 23, Garrett Cole 23, Martin Perez 23, Verlander 22, and Miles Mikolas had 22 quality starts, and I believe that is the top 10 as far as quality starts go. Wainwright had 16. I'm kind of looking for Cardinals and Cubs players. Montgomery had 14 last season. Stroman only had 12 last year, and I think that's the first Cubs player I see on here, but I don't know if that's necessarily fair because, I mean, I don't know how consistent your starting pitching rotation was as far as who was in there, you know? I think you guys were calling some guys. I don't remember.
Bounced around a little more last year.
Yeah. It wasn't as consistent. It feels like you have more of a stable rotation this year, so which is good. So we'll see if the Cubs can keep that up. Mike's optimistic. I think it'll probably regress back to the mean a little bit, but the Cubs are building something.
Yeah.
And we'll see if the Cardinals respond, because typically, we've talked about it on this show before, when do the Cardinals start to get nervous and make moves? It's when the Cubs are good. That's when they made the Marcell Ozuna trade, and I know people are sick of me talking about that, but they're just going to have to deal with it. That was one of the worst trades in Cardinals history, probably.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we'll see what they do, but anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, one of our regular listeners, Krosno, asked who's pitching today, and for the Cubs, it's Hayden Wesneski. Wesneski came out, and he's I guess a rookie. I mean, at some level, he became our fifth starter this year because he had a great spring training. Came out and had a rough outing against Seattle back on April 11th. Gave up 7 runs on 5 earned with a home run, walked 4, but then came back on the 17th versus Oakland and looked more like himself. And I know it's Oakland. He gave up 1 run, 1 earned, 5 hits, but had 7 strikeouts. And he had no strikeouts against Seattle, so he just had an off game there. But he's on the mound today for the Cubs, and this will be a good test for him. Today will be a good test for him, I think. He's gone up against Cincinnati, Seattle, and Oakland so far this year. The Dodgers lineup is different than any of those teams, frankly. Seattle, I don't know. Anyway, so it'll be interesting to see how he does today. Who's pitching for the Cardinals today? Any idea?
Today we got Mikolas on the bump with his glorious 8.10 ERA on the road in Seattle. So going up against Luis Castillo, which is going to be tough, but we'll see what happens. So again, Mikolas coming off his best start that he's had so far. That's not really saying too much, but against Pittsburgh, he did go 5 2/3 innings, gave up 2 earned runs, 4 strikeouts, 2 walks. Did give up 7 hits in those 5 2/3 innings. So Mikolas is a guy that we really need to get back on track. Hopefully, he can get back on track against Seattle, which is another team that had the same record coming into the season as the Cardinals, who were supposed to be a really good team. So we'll see. And again, all this conversation, and we're not even into May yet. Maybe. There's some options for the Cardinals. Wainwright is on the horizon. His return is coming. We do have Matthew Liberatore, who looks MLB ready, waiting in the wings. And who knows, if 1 or 2 of those guys come into the rotation, maybe we can put one of our starters in the bullpen. Maybe we, figure out the Jordan Hicks thing. This situation can resolve very quickly. Things can change quickly in baseball, but
True.
Right now, yes, Jordan, you heard me right. Yes, through 4 starts, Miles Mikolas' ERA is over 8. That's part of the problem. Is that's one of our big guys. So
hey, as a bonus beat the streak pick, take Julio Rodriguez, who's batting leadoff against the Cardinals today. Are the Cardinals at home or on the road?
They're on the road.
Okay, so maybe I wouldn't take Rodriguez in that case, but or
the Cardinals are on the road. That's
the Cardinals are on the road.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I may or may not take Rodriguez in that then.
Okay. Well, is it that time of the show?
Yeah, I suppose so.
It's the Dixon's Baseball Dictionary segment of the show where Mike pulls out his dictionary.
Looks like you had yours. All right, I got mine.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm on page 372 of the Paul Dixon Baseball Dictionary, brought to you by our good friends at the Nisei Lounge in Chicago, Illinois. Nisei
Is this a legitimate sponsor, or are you just?
Oh gosh, no. Nisei they'd probably crap their pants if they knew I even mentioned them on the show. They'd be like, "Hey, listen, we're not sellouts. We're not going to do we're not going to do sponsorships." Although I am going to reach out to them. I am going to reach out to them just to see if they'll be an unofficial sponsor of the show. So anyway, we're going to page 372 because this is the thing that got in the way of Drew Smyly's perfect game bid the other day with the little cue ball shot off of the end of the bat of Dodger. Who was it? He walked it off against us the other day. Anyway, the goat's beard got in the way of Smyly's perfecto. A plastic or leather flap hinged at the bottom of a catcher's or umpire's mask that protects the throat from foul tips. Because, well, okay, maybe that wasn't exactly what got in the way. Maybe it was more Yan Gomes trying to tackle him. Gomes, listen, everybody's talking about how this was the reason the perfect. Come on, you had two guys playing hard, going for a ball, and that probably one of the most difficult communication situations, right, in baseball. The dribbler down the third baseline. Like, who takes that one, right? Who takes it? The left-handed pitcher coming off the mound, the catcher, who's, yeah, anyway, part of him at least, absolutely Krosno. That's what it was. But the goat's beard, I kind of liked that one for today.
Yeah, the goat's beard, I know we've talked about this before. I never really thought about the catcher's flat. Like, I've never heard that term before, so
yeah. Well, it was introduced in 1976 by Steve Yeager after a teammate's bat shattered and lodged splinters in his throat while he was on the on-deck circle. How about that?
Wow. Oh, God.
Yeah, I had no idea about that. So that's why the catchers and the umpires have the goat's beard.
In 1888, A.G. Spalding and Brothers marketed a neck-protecting mask with a dog skin extension. What? Dog skin?
Dog skin? Dog skin?
They're not skinning dogs to make these in 1888.
In 1888, they might have been. Maybe roadkill dogs, maybe? I don't know.
Oh, I hope. Well,
you hope not.
Well, we love all of our furry friends. We're an animal-friendly show here. I thought they would maybe use a goat.
Hey, look at the synonyms. The synonyms for this term is great.
It's filled with goat hair. So it's a neck-protecting mask with a dog-skinned extension filled with goat hair at the bottom of the mask. So there is a goat part element actually involved in making the mask.
Yeah, or at least in 1888 there was. I'm pretty sure now they're made of plastic.
Yes, they are. Yes.
But I wonder what dog skin. I mean, is that literally dog skin, do you think?
In 1888, anything's possible.
I suppose so. I suppose that's true. But look at the synonyms for this is the best part of the dictionary right here. Throat guard, throat protector, the billy goat, or the Stevie. Now, why do they call it the Stevie? After Steve Yeager.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Right? Probably. I mean, I'm guessing.
How could I not pick up on that?
If you turn to the Stevie or Stevie in the dictionary, what it will say, but I'm trying to get there as quickly as I can because this is good radio.
We're all about good radio here.
We're all about good YouTube. The Stevie. Come on. Stevie, synonym of goat's beard, named for its inventor, Los Angeles Dodger catcher Steve Yeager. So they call it the Stevie.
Think of all this. I mean, if you're not aware of the baseball dictionary, It's going to be worthless for the podcast audience, but I'm holding it up right now on YouTube. It is think of all the work that this Paul Dixon had to do, because he's got to, now that he brought up Stevie, right, in reference to the goat's beard, he's got to go to the S's now. And how many notes does this guy? I want to see this guy's office. How many ink stains does he have on his? Because if you look at a picture of Paul Dixon, he does not look like a new age man. Now, if he is, I apologize, but he looks like somebody who writes everything out on paper, has like 40 pens scattered all over the place, papers everywhere. He doesn't seem like the most organized of fellas. But if he is, I apologize. He doesn't look like he's got his Google Drive in order. Let me just say that. So I think that
do any of us have our Google Drives in order?
I don't.
If you have your Google Drive in order, something's okay.
Well, maybe there's got to be some good folks. Just like there are good people from Oakland, there has to be good people with their Google Drives, color coordinated, whatever, however organizational, I've heard the term organizational porn thrown out there around the streets. There are some people that's very satisfying
in Oakland
to be organized. Perhaps maybe there's somebody with their Google Drive in order who's a good person in Oakland. I mean, it's possible.
I don't know what you have against Paul Dixon, but he is twice the person an Oaklander is.
What? How do you know?
Because he's from Garrett Park, Maryland. For crying out loud. I've never heard a bad thing about Garrett Park, Maryland. Have you?
I've never heard a good thing about Garrett Park, Maryland either. I haven't heard anything about Maryland.
Where is Maryland? Okay.
Who is Mary, and why does she have her own land?
I have no idea.
She probably who knows? I thought. Anyway, I won't.
I thought it was Della that wore something. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Now we're getting the jokes.
We're going off the rails here. There you go. So that's the baseball dictionary segment of the show, and I can't wait. Unfortunately I have to wait for the postseason, the pennant run. For the term that's on page, and maybe we'll give them just a preview for the term that's on page 375. Gonfalonia interruptus. So wait for the pennant run for that. That's in the dictionary. Gonfalonia interruptus.
And you can find the Dixon's Baseball Dictionary at your local bookstore. Let me just read, or if you can't find it there, they can order it for you, I'm sure. Let me just read some of the reviews, because I was reading these and chortling with laughter. An unfailing delight for a true fan. That's from Parade. A book that whets your appetite as much as a ballpark hot dog, from the Washington Post. So there you go. Go pick up your Dixon's Baseball Dictionary.
Krosno, who has picked up his baseball dictionary, says that defensive swing is not in the dictionary, which is kind of surprising. He said it wasn't. He had a little typo there, but it wasn't there. And it's not. That's kind of surprising. So maybe Krosno will get an entry. Of course, I've made it known on this show that one of my life goals, one of my bucket list items, is to get into the baseball dictionary. Krosno, I'm more interested in. Unfortunately, the listeners on the podcast won't get this, but I'm more interested in the. Speaking of. Yeah, delaying.
That's not what I think of it. What kind of? We found out that they make goat's beard out of dog skin, and we found out that whatever that is,
the postcard.
Oh my
postcard,
God.
Delaying the game. Nothing says baseball like that.
Huh. Well, for all of that and more, go pick yourself up a Paul Dixon's Baseball Dictionary at a local bookstore near you. Mike, do you have any final words of wisdom before we end the program?
Hey, I'm just it brings me great joy to talk about baseball. I suppose I could give some kind of big long speech about tanks and steamrollers and ages gone by and stuff like that. I don't know why tanks would be in there, but anyway, it's good. It's fun. It's wholesome. it's even though they're trying to do things to change it. It's been a fun year so far. So long live baseball.
And my words of wisdom would be, don't quite panic yet, Cardinals fans. We are going to make the playoffs. It's going to happen. They're going to make some changes to the starting rotation. I think Jake Woodford is likely a trade piece. He's likely going to go back down. I think that they swap him out for Liberatore, and then Wainwright is probably going to enter in, and likely I could see Steven Matz. And I know this sounds crazy, but they did this, I think, at the end of last season. I think they put him in the bullpen. So one of these guys is going to go to the bullpen, and Jordan Hicks is going to be, see you later. Sorry. I think he's going to be released. I think that's going to, because I don't know what other options there are. I guess you could trade him. But if he continues, like, they might hang on to him for another couple weeks or a month, but eventually they're going to have to make a decision, because they can't have a guy in the bullpen that they can't trust in certain situations. Like, it just can't. So I think changes are coming. I think they're going to figure it out. I think they're going to be just fine, even though they're 8-12 right now and not playing well at all. But like I said in my weekly breakdown, if they were 8-12 in the middle of the season, nobody would really be batting an eye. But since it's the beginning of the season, we go through stretches like this.
Sure we do.
In a major league season all the time. It just so happens there's more of a spotlight on it because it's the beginning. So don't panic. It's not, if they gave out championships in April, the Brewers would have like 100 of them. So don't freak out yet. So that's my advice for Cardinals fans. And long live baseball, as always. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed the program, click the like button, subscribe to the channel. We are growing more and more every day. We've gotten over 100 subscribers this month, so thank you so much for doing that and tuning into the show. We couldn't do it without you. And join our Beat the Streak. That app, I'll put the link to that app in the description for the show if you want to join. Don't join like 1,000 teams. Like, that's just kind of what's Bush League, I think. Just one, all right? We're going on the honor system here, so just one team. If that makes it more fun for everybody anyway.
One picker.
Yeah, one picker per team, please. I don't even know if there's a way to game the MLB streak system, but that is going to be the program.
I wouldn't think.
Yeah,
I would not.
Click the alarm bell to be notified when we go live. We typically have a show every Saturday morning, so around 9 a.m. or 9:30, just depending. So be on the lookout for that. And we are dedicated to bringing you close. I don't know if I want to commit to daily content, but we've been pretty close to hitting on daily content. So subscribe, alarm bell, like button will let you be notified of new content as it drops. And it's been pretty close to daily because of you, because of Mike Jones's MLB Beat the Streak, and clips from this podcast we put out over the week as well. So,
hey, anyway. Can I add just one more thing about that piece? The reason we decided to start doing that is because the Porthinator and the guys at the Score used to put out a podcast, Beat the Streak Daily, and they stopped doing that for some reason this year. I don't know why. It was one of my favorite podcasts, and so I thought, well, I'll just try to throw some things in there. They were much better at it than I am. But watch for the episode, today's episode. What I try to do is get it out early in the morning so that you can get some insight on a quick hitting YouTube about who some good batters might be to take on this given day before the first game of the day. And to give you a little insight on what the schedule might look like, those types of things. I'd love to do that more, but it's only a couple minutes. Fun to listen to, I hope.
Yeah. So that'll do it for us. Thank you again. Go Cardinals, and long live baseball.
Let's go Cubbies.
See you next time. Bye-bye, everybody.